Tonight on TV5 News.
I'm Mark Despotakis. A preview of Election 99 is coming up.
I'm Jeff Say. Coming up later, tomorrow's headlines now from the Clarion Call.
A man on death row has received a reprieve from the magistrate. Details coming up.
I'm Gemma Vivino. What weather lies ahead? Will this Halloween weekend be chilly? Will it be sunny? Coming up.
Plus, 2 guys will be donning the cheerleading outfits for their team. Find out why coming up.
I'm Mike Markowitz, and coming up later in sports, Jim Gray apologizes for the Pete Rose incident, plus Game 3 of the World Series. We'll recap that as Game 4 begins tonight. I'll have this and more coming up next in sports.
And in the medical beat, find out why many Americans are getting fat. I'm Nani Lombard, and tonight for the Distinctive Movie Review, I'll be talking about American Beauty and the Story of Us. So stay tuned.
Join us next for TV5 News at 8 as we bring coverage closer to home.
This is TV5 News, bringing coverage closer to home.
Good evening and welcome to TV5 News. I'm Christy Herman.
And I'm Dave Marsh. Joining us live from the TV5 newsroom is Mark Despotakis with tonight's top story regarding the upcoming local elections. Mark?
Thanks, Dave. Well, tonight we decided we'd give you a lot of information about what's coming up for next Tuesday's general election. So if you're living in Clarion Borough and you're planning on getting out and voting, here are the places to go and vote. If you live in the 1st precinct, you're going to be voting in the basement of the county courthouse. In the 2nd precinct, you will be voting in the fire hall on Wood Street, and for those of you in the 3rd precinct, you'll be voting in the Morrick Fine Arts Center. Now, today we also compiled a list of candidates running for next week's election. It's tonight's top story. Take a look. On Tuesday, Clarion County residents will be asked to vote for 2 county commissioners from the following candidates: David G. Seipert, Glenn L. Watson, Don R. Hartle, John S. Shropshire, Paul A. Weaver, and Vernon L. Etzel. Running for county prothonotary are Chris Baker and Mary Jane McCall. For register recorder are Greg Mortimer and Lee A. Reimer. Running for county treasurer are Robert J. Lewis and Teresa M. Snyder. And for county district attorney are Ronald T. Elliott and Mark T. Aaron. Running for county auditor are Ralph H. Minich, William Lennon, James C. Barger, and Gregory A. Fowler. Also on the ballot will be an official question, which reads as follows: shall the elected office of County Controller be established in Clarion County, Pennsylvania, to replace the 3 elected county auditors? Running for Borough Council in Clarion Borough are S. Brad Leonard, Earl Zerfoss, and Joanne Vavrick. And running for Clarion Borough Assessor is Betty June Kinter. And the election is Tuesday. You can go out and vote all day, and then stay tuned to TV5, and we will be giving you complete election coverage. Here's the schedule for Tuesday night. We'll be broadcasting Clarion Borough Council live at 7 o'clock, followed by a PA political show at 8 o'clock, and then you can see Election 99 coverage live at 9 to 11. Live in the newsroom, I'm Mark Despotakis. Back to you, Dave.
Thanks, Mark. In Clarion, it was one birthday celebration none of the guests are likely to forget. The September 11th gathering in Highland Township culminated when Thomas Anderson allegedly aimed a shotgun at a man's face. Yesterday, Anderson was ordered held for trial on 2 counts each of simple assault, reckless endangerment, and making terroristic threats, as well as charges of possession of marijuana and drug paraphernalia. An 18-year-old family member testified against Anderson and said the defendant had pointed the shotgun at her boyfriend's face that night when they got together for a birthday party. A district justice sent an Elmora man to jail Tuesday after ordering him held for trial on charges he propositioned female students at Clarion University. 20-year-old Daniel Miller is charged with indecent exposure, open lewdness, and disorderly conduct in connection with the September 1st incidents. Miller had initially been released on his own recognizance, but District Justice Daniel George granted a motion by Assistant District Attorney Ron Elliott to increase the defendant's bail to $10,000 following a preliminary hearing. Miller was later taken to Clarion County Jail, where he is still being held at this time.
A Girard man was ordered held for trial Tuesday on charges he sexually assaulted a 14-year-old girl last November in her Clarion home. 21-year-old Brian Baldwin is charged with statutory sexual assault, deviant sexual intercourse, aggravated indecent assault, and indecent assault. The alleged victim, now 15 and living near Tionesta, was the only witness to testify at the defendant's preliminary hearing in Clarion County Central Court. She said that the assault occurred after she went out with a group of people on November 28th to a bowling alley near Clarion. District Justice Daniel George ordered Baldwin held for trial on all of the charges following the hearing. 4 Clarion County schools won awards for improved performance from the State Department of Education. Last week, the DOE announced monetary awards given to more than 800 schools throughout the state for improved achievement tests, scores, attendance, and for VOTEC school jobs replacement rates. The 4 schools are Clarion Limestone Junior and Senior High, North Clarion Junior and Senior High, Clarion County Career Center, and the Clarion Area Junior and Senior High School. For the past 2 years, the state has given out monetary awards to schools that have shown improvement over the past year's test results.
And although Clarion County Commissioner Sally Minnick and David Wagner agreed to transfer $10,000 to the Public Defender's Court-appointed attorney line item, Public Defender Jack I. Lowe believes he will need an additional $6,000 before December 31st. At the beginning of the month, Lowe requested the county commissioners transfer $10,000 from the county's general fund into the appointed courts. When Minnick and Wagner approved the transfer from the county's contingency fund, which was recently replenished by using the $350,000 contribution for Clairview Nursing and Rehabilitation Center. Lowe expects he will need to seek the, at least an additional $6,000 before December 31st.
Despite no written contract and without knowing the name of the firm they hired, Clarion County Commissioner Sally Minnick and David Wagner said they are progressing with the former county jail rehabilitation project. Minnick and Wagner approved a $130,000 transfer from the contingency reserve to the old prison renovation. Commissioner Keith Martin voted against the transfer. The transfer included a $100,000 match to a $100,000 preservation grant from the state Historical and Museum Commission. According to Wagner, the remaining $30,000 is for architect fees and demolition work in the former jail. After 18 years on death row, a man convicted of kidnapping his former girlfriend and shooting her in a cornfield has won a reprieve from a federal magistrate judge. If the ruling Monday by Judge Susan Baxter stands, Joseph Sukun will serve a life sentence plus 27 to 54 years. He is not eligible for parole. Sukun, formerly of Erie, shot Judy Snyder twice in the back in a Greene Township cornfield in April of 1981. He is an inmate of the state prison in Greene County. Ms. Baxter ruled that the trial judge read the jury faulty instructions during the death penalty phase of Sukun's trial in October of 1981. Sukun had lost 11 appeals in state and federal courts before entering his final round of appeals.
The combination of two extremes, age-old land and brand-new computers, will join forces in a public demonstration Thursday of Venango County Assessment Office operations. The Assessment Office, the central registry of data on properties throughout the county, is undergoing an extensive update. 21st Century Real Estate Appraisal Company from Harrisburg is modernizing the information gathering efforts and putting the results on computers. On hand will be Peggy Davis, Chief Assessor for the county, and Robert Barr, President of 21st Century. Also attending will be the members of the 18-person Citizens Advisory Group.
Deliberations on where the new UPMC Northwest Hospital will be built in Venango County may be getting some help from a county agency charged with community planning and development. The Venango County Planning Commission is offering to help the newly merged hospital entity to find a location for a $45 million hospital, due to be built within 3 years. The new medical center will replace the Oil City and Franklin hospitals, which will either boast new tenants with a year or demolished. Elected officials in a number of municipalities, including Cranberry Township and Sugar Creek Borough, have publicly expressed strong interest in having the new hospital built on their turf.
One of the 2 students held responsible for broadcasting a pornographic video over a closed-circuit television channel at Shippensburg Area High School have been expelled. School officials say a second student reportedly involved in the October 15th broadcast is being evaluated for learning disabilities before the school board acts regarding his punishment. That student will begin in-school suspension next Monday. Vocal opposition has muddled the waters for a regional effort to improve safety conditions along the Allegheny River between the Veterans Bridge and the Petroleum Street Bridge in Oil City. Local officials are reconsidering a plan to create a safe chute through which canoeists can navigate to avoid treacherous rapids under the Veterans Bridge, now that some adventurers have raised concerns about altering what has become a challenging kayaking area. Local officials and other enthusiasts entered a meeting Tuesday in City Hall and decided to bring in a trained hydrologist to determine the best course of action for the stretch. And coming up after the break, an escaped convict is put back into jail, and a local man is accused of having ties to the KKK.
Also, the Senate launches an inquiry into the recent rash of violence in Philadelphia public schools. All this and more as TV5 News brings coverage closer to home.
Uniting parents and children is an important part of the life of a community. Stand for Children encourages people to make a personal commitment to stand for the health of children. 300,000 Americans marched in Washington, D.C. last June to support Stand for Children Day. Stand for Children seeks to lift the belief that children need our help to stand.
Who's the man? It's a birthday. I'm the man. It's a birthday.
Exercised lately? Exercised lately?
Sad. Looking back now, things you go through in life. Scary. The worst thing about being on welfare was it's what they really wanted. I had to get a better life for my girls and myself. I got off welfare. I got a good job. Makes me the happiest mother in the world. I live for my girls.
We're not asking you to hire everyone on welfare. Just one.
This is TV5 News at 8, anchored by Christy Herman. Dave Marsh. Jan Bevavino with TV5 Weather. Don Ursich with sports. Now from the news team bringing coverage closer to home, this is TV5 News.
Back to TV5 News. Here are the stories you can see in tomorrow's edition of the Clarion News. The #1 tail buck in the United States is missing from his Knox residence this evening. Rodney and Diane Miller report that Goliath was removed from his stall after being sedated. That's when the kidnappers cut the fence and hauled the tail buck away. A $20,000 reward is being offered. Jail construction is causing a disruption in the 311 service in Clarion County. And now over to Christy Herman as she joins us with tomorrow's headlines from the Clarion.
Thanks, Dave. Jail construction is causing a disruption in the 911 services in Clarion County. According to Joseph McQueen, the county 911 director, the disruptions is occurring as a result of the lavatory being located in the center of the hallway. In a related story, Commissioner Keith Martin raised questions concerning the way that the contract was awarded for the project. Martin believes that the Commissioner Sally Minchik and Dave Wagner violated open meeting laws. In other county news, the Clarion Borough met with ALF officials in an effort to expand the amount of roads available for travel during the next festival. Read about these stories and complete coverage of the election in tomorrow's edition of the Clarion News.
A Reimersburg man who allegedly claimed he was an enforcer for the Ku Klux Klan was ordered held for trial Tuesday on a charge of defiant trespassing. Although their charges of disorderly conduct were withdrawn against Jason B. Young, a woman testified at the hearing that she told Young her stepbrother to stay away from her residence and her family 3 times. She said it had to do with the people he was associating with, the Ku Klux Klan members. One of her children is biracial. In one incident, Young pulled back his coat showing a gun. District Justice Daniel George said he believed Young went to the residence after he had been told not to. He then bound the defendant over on the charges of defiant trespass.
An escapee wanted in Pennsylvania for attempting to kill a police officer has been captured in Racine County, Wisconsin. 25-year-old Terry Lee McNellis was found after being spotted in a stolen car. McNellis was on private property in Caledonia when he was ordered out of the car at gunpoint. Officers busted into McNellis' car and took him into custody. McNellis reached for a bag in the back seat, and then police recovered the bag that contained the gun that McNellis stole from the sheriff's deputy when he escaped from the deputy's van. He is now being held in the Racine County Jail.
A guard of the Susquehanna County Corrections Facility in Montrose is out of a job today. Warren William Brennan will not identify just who the guard is, but verifies that the guard was dismissed yesterday after 2 inmates attempted to regain their freedom. Police recaptured inmates Anthony Breinizer of Scranton and Lawrence Upright of New Milford after they fled past a guard and ran through 3 unlocked jail doors. The warden had warned prison personnel 9 days earlier that Breinizer and Upright were escape risks because they had received bad news about their case. Breinizer is in Brighthampton, New York, awaiting extradition to Pennsylvania. Upright was captured in Susquehanna County. He is being arraigned on escape charges. Both of their wives also face charges in the escape.
Police in Philadelphia are investigating the death of a reputed mobster. 61-year-old Ron Turchi was found in the trunk of his wife's car last night. Authorities found the decomposing body with his hands tied behind his back, 2 gunshot wounds to his head, and a clear plastic bag covering his face. Police are still investigating the situation. The State House of Representatives is calling for investigation into the recent violence in Philadelphia schools. Lawmakers unanimously approved the resolution yesterday. The State House of Representatives did this without realizing that a shooting at a city school earlier would end in fatality. 16-year-old Donald McNeil died last evening at the Einstein Medical Center after being shot in the abdomen. McNeil was in front of Martin Luther King High School in Philadelphia when the shooting took place. Police say that 2 suspects have been arrested and are expected to be charged.
Reports from Africa are saying that a former missionary from New Jersey has been slain by bandits. Authorities reported that 44-year-old Timothy Matchett of Haddon Heights was shot twice by thieves in the West African nation of Togo. Matchett's wife and 3 children reported the Philadelphia Inquirer that they heard the shots that rang out. She says she knows her husband is in heaven.
A Clarion man is facing charges that he ran a prostitution ring that used underage girls. Attorney General Mike Fisher says extradition charges are underway to bring Albert Caprinit back from Mexico, where he fled after investigations began. Caprinit's operation was disguised as an escort service. A presentment issued by the grand jury says that 3 juveniles were involved. 4 people were arraigned yesterday in front of District Justice Carmen Maffei of West Piston. They were identified as Caprinit's girlfriend and 3 employees. They are now in jail at the Lorenza County Prison on $100,000 bail, pending preliminary hearings next week. Coming up after the break, will students be returning to blackened out schools after the holiday break? And further investigations into the plane crash of Payne Stewart.
Also, we will have tonight's Health Beat, and Jen Bevavino joins us from the TV5 Weather Center with your local forecast. All this and more as TV5 News brings coverage closer to home.
Introducing new frequent phone hours.
Use the phone just 8 hours a week and get this free phone cradle. Use it 12 hours and get a speakerphone.
Use it 15 hours and get this cool headset.
Or stay on the phone 20 hours a week
and get a pasty complexion,
flabby body, and a great new nickname at school.
Exercised lately?
There. I want my mother to be there. My hair's gonna be done so beautiful. A lot of music, a nice blue dress. I want to be beautiful for every single person that goes there. If I get shot, I want to have a nice funeral.
Every day, 10 children are killed by gunfire. Help stop the violence. Call 1-800-WE-PREVENT for free information. Not one more lost life. Not one more grieving family. Not one more.
It's not just about making plans. It's about making a difference and taking an interest, not just earning it. More than investing, it's about knowing you.
My every hope, my life, my world, it all begins with a dream.
Edward Jones, investing in you and your dreams.
In Clarion, see Gary Martin, located on Main Street. Phone 226-7896.
Welcome back to TV5 News. The Prime Minister of Armenia, as well as 4 other senior officials, are dead. Gunmen burst into the county's parliament chamber and opened fire. Prime Minister Vasilij Sarkisian was rushed to the hospital after the shooting, even as the gunmen took hostages inside the building. Sarkisian was the number 2 official in the government behind President Robert Cochrane. Sarkisian has been addressing the parliament as the gunfire broke out.
Investigators still have many questions concerning the fatal plane crash involving Payne Stewart. The runaway jet went down in the South Dakota field. Officials have returned to the crash site looking for pieces of the plane inside a 10-foot deep crater. No information is being released yet. Kids in more than 1/3 of the nation's schools and colleges could return from winter break to find their schools blacked out. This is just a worst-case scenario in the Y2K study released today. 96% of the K-12 districts and 97% of the colleges insist they will be ready for the bug. Richard Riley, Education Secretary, is worried about the school's late start dealing with this problem. It leaves very little room for testing. Y2K-related failures in schools would have little or no direct impact on teaching and learning outside of lessons that involve information technology. The worst effects could happen to school heating and security.
If you would like to protest in front of the Clintons' future house, you will need permission. Town officials in Chappaqua New York have passed a new ordinance. It requires approval from police for any outdoor assembly or march. Local officials hurried the new law when word was released that the Clintons were coming to town. The new house is estimated at $1.7 million, and it is in the state where Mrs. Clinton is eyeing a U.S. Senate seat.
Colorado Governor Bill Owens has decided not to appoint a special prosecutor to probe the death of JohnBenet Ramsey. Owens says the right people are now working on the case. They are getting the right number and the right murder suspect. The grand jury wrapped up its work without bringing any charges. Owens says if he could speak to the dead girl's parents, he would tell them to stop hiding behind their attorney and to come back to Colorado to help with the case.
In tonight's Health Beat, more Americans are gaining weight and getting larger. A study by the Center for Disease Control and Prevention shows 1 in 5 adults are obese. Another study showed that obesity-related diseases kill over 300,000 people a year. The effects show that most dramatic increases in younger adults, people with some education, and Hispanics. Also in tonight's Health Beat, the Food and Drug Administration has given the go-ahead for labels on soy-based products that say they can lower your risk of heart attack and disease. The labels will be similar to those highlights the cholesterol-lowering effects on oatmeal and bran products. Eating 25 grams of soy protein a day will significantly lower cholesterol levels, and foods with at least 1/4 of that amount will qualify for the new labeling.
Children who begin treatment for asthma after diagnosis have increased chances they may outgrow the disease as adults. The American Lung Association shows the shorter the period between diagnosis and treatment may prevent persistence of the disease even in young adults. Asthma is a disease that is life-threatening. Of the approximately 14.6 million asthmatics in this country, nearly 1/3 are children under 18 years of age. Symptoms of asthma include coughing while exercising or even at rest, shortness of breath, wheezing sound when breathing, and tightness in the chest area. If you see or feel these symptoms, you should be examined by a physician. This information was provided by the Clarion Hospital and should not be used in place of consultation with your physician. And joining us now from the TV5 Weather Center is Jen Bevavino with a look at your local forecast. Jen?
Good evening. I'm TV5's Jen Bevavino, taking a brief look at Clarion's current and extended weather conditions. Taking a brief look behind me at our current satellite imagery map, you'll notice that we do have a bit of a gray area covering the northwestern part of Pennsylvania. These clouds will be rolling northeasterly throughout the rest of the week, so we will not be seeing any more of those gray days. The sun will be shining through, and we will be receiving its warmth throughout the rest of the week. Taking a look at tomorrow's frontal map, you will notice that we are in the middle of a high-pressure system. So, as I said before, we will be seeing temperatures rise throughout the rest of the week. Hopefully, we will be seeing temperatures around Saturday rise high into the 70s region. So, according to my sources, we are in the middle of a brief Indian summer. So, hopefully, this will continue on. Taking a look at today's highs map, you will notice that we were high into the middle 50s region. Once again, temperatures will continue to rise. Taking a look at tomorrow's lows map, you will notice that tomorrow we will be low into the 30s region early in the morning. Temperatures will rise towards the rest of the day. Taking a look at our precipitation map, you will notice that we are free of precipitation at the moment, and according to my sources, once again, we will not be seeing any of its effects throughout the rest of the week. Taking a look at our 5-day planner now, you will notice for Thursday, it will be partly sunny with a high of 62, a low of 29. For Friday, partly sunny once again with a high of 69, a low of 42. For Saturday, partly sunny with a high of 70, a low of 41. For Sunday, partly sunny with a high of 66 and a low of 42. And for Monday, the temperatures will be dropping a bit, but not much, with a partly sunny with a high of 55 and a low of 40. And that's Clarion's current and extended weather conditions. Back to you, Dave and Christy.
Thanks, Jen. Coming up directly after the break, Mike Markowinski gives us a rundown on the world of sports, and Nani Lomberg and Carolyn Kelly provide us with the entertainment and the Hollywood beat.
Plus, 2 not-so-ordinary cheerleaders break with tradition. All this and more as TV5 News brings coverage closer to home.
Getting out from the crowd is easy when you stop in at Fashion Bug, located in a Clarion Mall. Whether you're looking for junior trendy, girls, or fashion for women, they have it all with many different styles. With our newly expanded shoe and accessory department, you're surely to find that special touch to enhance that new outfit. And if you have a fashion question, our experts are here to help. That's Fashion Bug, located in the Clarion Mall, just off Exit 9 of Interstate 80. Open Monday through Saturday, 10 a.m. till 9 p.m. Sunday from noon till 5.
Where have all the children gone? Long time passing.
Every day, 10 children are killed by gunfire. You can help stop the violence. Call 1-800-WE-PREVENT. Not one more lost life. Not one more grieving family. Not one more.
Gone to graveyards one by one. Oh, when will we ever learn?
News travels fast. That's why you need the speed and accuracy of a news team that brings coverage closer to home. Every Tuesday and Wednesday night, join TV5 News for Clarion's only live local newscast on television at 8. Tune in for the latest in regional, state, and national news. Plus, with our newspaper exchange partner, the Clarion News, teaming up to bring coverage closer to home every Tuesday and Wednesday at 8 p.m. Clarion's only live local newscast on television at 8 is here on TV5.
Welcome back to TV5 News. I'm Mike Markowinski, here again with the sports in 2 minutes. The World Series is in full swing, but it doesn't look good for the Braves, who lost again last night 6-5, making the series 3-0 in favor of the Yankees. A homer by Chad Curtis in the bottom of the 10th was the game winner. The Braves led by 4 at one point, but Chuck Knobloch hit a homer in the bottom of the 8th to tie the score at 5. Tonight is Game 4 for the Braves, and John Smoltz tries to keep their postseason hope alive against Roger Clemens. In other baseball-related news, NBC field reporter Jim Gray publicly apologized for taking the joy out of Pete Rose's return to the game. Rose, who had been banned from baseball for life, was named to the MasterCard All-Century team as an outfielder. After the ceremony, Gray congratulated Rose and then proceeded to badger Rose and asked if he would like to admit anything. Gray said, quote, "I want to say to baseball fans everywhere, I am sorry about this." It seems as though Mike Tyson can't stay out of sports news. Luther Mack will give Tyson a fine after the first-round hit after the bell knocked down Orlin Morris, injuring his knee and making him unable to continue the fight. Mack says that he does not have a specific amount in mind, but he will prove that they are serious. Tyson's $8.7 million purse is being held until after the hearing. This week, the first Football College Bowl Championship Series rankings were released, and Florida State was number 1, Penn State was number 2, Virginia Tech was 3, Tennessee State was at 4, and Kansas State closed out the top 5. That's it for this week. Now back to the news desk and Christy.
Thanks, Mike. A couple of Minnesota cheerleaders won't be wearing those short skirts. Dan Opdahl and Nathan Wilder have decided to go against the grain and become cheerleaders. The two guys are the cheering squad for the girls volleyball team at Allen Conjure High School. Wilder says cheering is a lot harder than it looks. Opdahl says cheering can be humiliating. They cannot do the acrobatics or the complicated moves. They said it's just hard enough getting the clapping and the rhythm right. And joining us now is Nani Lombard with this week's Entertainment Beat.
Thanks. First I'm going to talk about American Beauty. I think that this is a really creative movie. First of all, the fact that it is marked as a comedy/drama tells you that it's not your ordinary movie. To sum it up, this movie is about a man who is tired of his life, so he changes it and does things only people dream of, only to learn the hard way that his ultimate dreams come at a price. Some people may be disturbed by this movie. I know that I was at first. Then I realized even though this movie is very bizarre, almost anyone can relate to pieces of it, and that is why it is so disturbing to people. I thought the actors' performances were the best part of the movie. Kevin Spacey, who played Lester Burnham, and Annette Bening, who played his wife, both gave believable performances. I definitely see Oscar nominations in the future for them. I'd also like to talk about The Story of Us, starring Michelle Pfeiffer and Bruce Willis. This movie shows and proves that opposites do attract, and this attraction can last forever. The Story of Us is about a couple who has everything except love in their marriage. Raising 2 kids, managing a household, and dealing with work, this couple, who has once very much in love, have grown apart. The little things that irritate each of them about the other person have finally gotten so big that they cannot even communicate anymore. They must make a decision, call it quits, or try to recapture the love they once both shared for each other. This movie appears as if it would only appeal to married couples, but I think that anyone who is or has been in a serious relationship before will enjoy this entertaining romantic comedy. For the Distinsa Movie Review, I'm Nani Lombard. Now here's Carolyn Kelly with the calendar of events.
Thanks. Good evening and welcome to another exciting edition of Entertainment Beat. Let's take a look at the calendar of events for this week. Tomorrow, October 28th, is the Fall Jazz Band Tour. For details, contact the Gemmel Info Desk. On Friday, the Clarion volleyball team will be battling the Fairmont University team at 7 p.m. Saturday, October 30th, will be an entertaining night as the Phi Mu Alphas put on a recital in the auditorium beginning at 8:15 p.m. Happy Halloween to everyone on Sunday the 31st. And also, don't forget daylight saving time ends, and you should turn your clocks back 1 hour. A major decision series takes place in 250-252 Gemmel on the 1st, where they will be focusing on learning outside the classroom. This starts at 5:30 p.m. And yes, it's that time again. Election Day is this Tuesday, November 2nd, where you can also join in on the UAB Craft Series at 12 noon in 252 Gemmel. And finally, Wednesday the 3rd, Philip Turman is featured in Moore Hall as part of the Visiting Writer Series beginning at 7:30 p.m. That's it for this week. See you next time on Entertainment Beat. I'm Carolyn Kelly, TV5 News.
Thanks, Carolyn. Jen Bavino is here with one final look at the Clarion area forecast. Jen?
4, 3, 2.
Look back once again in our 5-day planner. You will notice for Thursday it will be partly sunny with a high of 62, a low of 29. For Friday, partly sunny once again with a high of 69, a low of 42. And for Saturday, partly sunny once again. Temperatures will rise high into the 70s, and we will have a low of 41. And that's Clarion's current and extended weather conditions. Back to you, Dave and Christy.
Thanks, Jen. That about wraps up tonight's TV5 newscast. Tune in Tuesday for TV5's coverage of the Clarion County Borough meeting and our exclusive coverage of the local elections. I'm Christy Herman.
And I'm Dave Marsh. For the entire TV5 news team, have a good night and a great week.